Okay, you're on. Good morning, everyone. We are on Pei Amud Beis on the bottom. Matan Arba b'matana achas, bottom of Pei Amud Beis. So if you have the blood of a korban that needs to be applied 4 times, that mixes with the blood of a korban that needs to be applied once, so Rabbi Eliezer says that you apply it 4 times. And there was a whole discussion about how can you do that, Bal Yosef, Bal Tosef, Bal Tigra, all these other things. So we said that according to Rabbi Eliezer, we have something called rowan, which is what we're going to discuss today. Rowan means viewing. You view the leftover as if it was water, and not as if it's blood. And therefore, if it's water, it's not a problem to put any extra, because if I put too much on, so I'm putting on chatas blood, and then I'm putting on water, which is not a problem. So the Gemara says, Matan arba b'matna achas. If you go ahead and you mix 4 with 1 that needs to be applied once. So according to Rabbi Eliezer, you apply it 4 times. The question is, though, on Rav Ashi, like we said yesterday, if in fact there's ein bila, there's no blending, so even if you apply it 4 times, maybe you're only applying what? You're only applying the blood of one of the korbanos. You're only applying the one that needs to be applied once, or vice versa. How do you know you're applying the right one? Says the Gemara, V'chitema, Peyam Alef Amud Aleph, V'chitema, Hachanami B'nisar Ba'achas. And if you say we're going to learn the way that we learned yesterday, that you had exactly the right amount, so you had a cup of the one that needs to be applied once, and you have 4 cups of the one that needs to be applied 4 times, not necessarily cups, but you have that amount. And what do? Ihachi, Amar lo Rabbi Yeshua, Reyu over al Baltosef, Hacha Baltosef Mehecha. That would be fine if you suggest, like we said yesterday. Yesterday we suggested that you have 1 amount of the one that needs to be applied once, and 4 amounts of the one that need to be applied 4 times, 1 amount of Bechor, and 4 amounts of Ola. And you do it 4 times, which Rashi explains means you really do it 5 times. So you put it on 5 times onto Mizbeach, and you don't say, because you do it 5 times on the Mizbeach, you did the 4, you used everything up basically, you used up all your blood. So you did the 4 and the 1, whichever one came first, we don't necessarily know, but you did the 4 and the 1 and you're good to go. The problem with that is that we explained all those brises like that yesterday, that's fine. The problem here is that Rabbi Yeshua says something back to him. Amar Rabbi Yeshua, Rehu over al Baltosef. Hacha Baltosef Mehecha. If you're going to explain that the case here is where you applied the entire thing of 5 kezesim worth, 4 and the 1, and you applied the entire thing to the Mizbeach, so what's Rabbi Yeshua saying back to him and said, you're over Baltosef? What do you mean you're over Baltosef? I applied the entire thing. The entire thing was only 4 and 1. I did exactly what I was supposed to do. So that can't be the pshat over here. Ella Amarava, rather Rava says, what's the case? Bibalul lo pligi. When the stuff is mixed together, when the blood is mixed together in the same vessel, then lo pligi. Then there's no machlokes. Ki pligi bekosos. The only time the Rebbe Lazar and the Chachamim are arguing is when you mix up the cups. That means you have a cup of Ola blood, a cup of Chatas blood, or whatever, a few of them, and you mix them up, and you don't know which cup is what, but none of the bloods are mixed together. You only have a question on Rav Ashi from yesterday, and again, it's complicated stuff, so if you feel a little bit lost, don't feel bad. But you only have the problem yesterday of Rav Ashi of saying ein bila, that there's no blending if all of the stuff is mixed together in 1 cup. But if we explain that it's all in separate cups, so then at the end of the day you have no kashas on Rav Ashi, which is what we're trying to establish. But we're saying bebalu lo pligi. When they're all together, so there's no problem, because that's not what they're discussing. And Rav Ashi was talking about when all the actual blood is mixed together. So you can't prove anything. Bila is only when the actual blood is mixed together. Rav Ashi says ein bila, we said yesh bila. Again, that means that you look at every single individual hazah, every single piece of blood is having a mixture of all bloods. But that was Rav Ashi, that's a separate conversation. All these conversations are dealing with different cups. Different cups, there's no mixing going on. Yes, you're mixing in the sense you're mixing the cups, but there's no physical mixing of any of the blood. So kipligi bekosas, Rabbi Eliezer islay rowan, or the Rabbanan las lehuron. So what happens now? You have different cups. You have a cup of chatas and a cup of ola. Chatas is supposed to go above the line, ola is supposed to go below the line. So what do? Well, they're not mixed together, but what do? Can you apply those bloods to the Mizbeach or not? Says Rabbanan, no. Because what am I going to end up doing? It's only a 50% chance, I might end up applying the Chatas blood on the bottom and the Ola blood on top. Chatas blood always goes on top. Ola blood, everything else goes on the bottom of the red line. And now I'm stuck. So I can't do it. Says Rabbi Eliezer, of course you can do it. Why? Because I hold of the principle of Roa. Roa means I see, I view. I view that anything that's not supposed to be there is what? Anything that's not supposed to be there is like mayim. So what am I going to do? I'm going to take from one cup and I'm going to apply it on top and on the bottom. I'm going to take from the other cup and apply it on the top and on the bottom. The one which is supposed to be a chatas on top will have been a chatas on top. Let's say this cup is a chatas. When I go like this and I go like this and like this, so I was yotze the chatas on top, and when I threw it on the bottom, it was just water. And then I took from the other one, and I go up and down. When I go up, it was nothing, it was just water. When I went down, it was fine, I was yotze the ola. This way I did everything I needed to do. Says the Gemara, ubebalu lo pligi. It's a nice suggestion, beautiful, you explained it so nicely. But at the end of the day, ubalu lo pligi, are they not arguing when the blood is actually mixed together in one cup? V'atanya, you clearly see Amar Rabbi Yehuda lo nechlaku Rabbi Zev Spitz al dam chatas v'nitzar b'dam ola sheyikrav. There's no question that when you mix the dam chatas and the dam ola, you can bring it. This is a different opinion. We just said according to Rabbanan you can't bring it. According to this opinion, why can you bring it? Because we say yesh bila. You assume that according to the Rabbanan, you could say rowan, let's say. According to this opinion, Rabbi Yehuda, so even the Rabbanan would agree that you can view the leftover blood as water, and therefore even when they're actually mixed together, you can go ahead and bring it. If you have regular blood mixed with the blood of an animal that was involved in inappropriate behavior, then you can't bring it. What are they arguing about? They're not arguing about chatas and ola. What are they arguing about? Al dam tamima shenis arev b'dam balas mum. They're arguing by dam tamima, by regular blood, which is with a blood that is from a Baal Mum. But again, for our purposes, what do you see here? You see that they're arguing by Balul also. Rabbi Lezer says you can bring it bein b'balul bein b'kos. Chachamim lo yikrav. You just told me they're not arguing by Balul. Says Gemara, Rabbi Yehuda liba de Rabbi Lezer masni bein b'balul bein b'kos. Rabbanan b'kos is pligi. Again, without getting into too much of the details, you're understanding the brayso wrong. When it says Chachamim lo yikravu, they're not arguing on the Balul part. They're arguing on the kosos part. So again, just to get back to the main point, the argument between the two of them is when you have separate cups, but when you have one cup, they're not necessarily arguing. Amar Abaye. Now we're going to get into a discussion. If you remember, we said yesterday that chatas goes above the line, ola goes below the line. But one of the svaras that we gave why you can go ahead, besides for roa, why you can go ahead and you can apply the blood on top and on the bottom when it's mixed together, is because we said the chatas blood goes above. The leftover chatas has to go below the line anyway. We said that the shirayim, again, don't forget the big concepts. The shirayim goes above the line. Chatas blood goes above the red line. All the other bloods go below the line. And the leftover chatas blood, called the shirayim, the chatas shirayim, is going below the line anyway. So when you mix, there's no problem. Once you throw the blood on top, whether you say yesh bila, ein bila, however you're going to do it, once you throw the blood on top, everybody seems to agree, we said, that you can throw the rest of the blood underneath the line. Because mamanoshach, either way, either it's ola blood, and it's going underneath the line, or it's the leftover chatas blood, now that you've thrown blood on top of the line, and that's going underneath the line also. So says the Gemara, Amar Abaye, Lo shanu el tchilas chatas ve'ola. Aval sof chatas ve'ola divrei kol makom ola makom shirayim. Lo shanu, we didn't learn, I'm going to do some Rashis, second wide line. Lo shanu hach plukta de chatas ve'ola de masnisan de le'el. De amir rabbanan yishapech la'ama. If you remember, the Mishnah on Ayin Tes Amud Beis. So the Mishnah Ayin Tes Amud Beis said that if you have the bottom part of the Mishnah, if you have ola blood that mixes with chatas blood on Ayin Tes Amud Beis on the bottom, so Rabbi Eliezer mer yitain lamala, we said you put on top, and then you yotze the chatas on top, and then when you put the rest on the bottom, because again now it's shirayim chatas, you have to spill it out. So lo shana tchilas chatas v'ola. We're saying that machlokes about, according to the Rabbanan, you have to spill out the whole mixture of chatas and ola blood is only when you have chatas and ola blood, and neither one of them has been brought on the mizbeach yet. So you have a cup that's mixed of chatas and ola blood, and according to Rabbanan, I can't throw it on top of the mizbeach because it has some ola blood in it. I can't throw it underneath the mizbeach because it has some chatas blood in it. You got to spill it out. And now Rabbi Eliezer says, no, you can still do it on top and on the bottom, because roa, you see that the ola blood is not there when you do it on top, you see the chatas blood is not there when you do it on the bottom, and shalom al Yisrael. Aval sov chatas ve'ola, but according to Abaye, let's say you already brought a chatas. So you took a cup of just chatas blood and you applied it. Then it got mixed, the leftover chatas became mixed with the ola blood. So now they don't argue, because now what? If the leftover, everybody agrees you could put it where? On the bottom. Doctor, you're catching on. Says Gemara, "Vasov chatas ve'ola divrei kol makom ola makom shirayim." If you have leftover chatas blood that mixes with ola blood, everybody agrees you could throw it underneath the red line, because the makom of the ola is the same as the makom of the shirayim of the chatas. Amalei Rav Yosef, good try. If it was that simple, then we would have nothing to do. Hachi Amar Rav Yehuda, shirayim srichin istaba. No, there's somebody that argues. Says not so simple. As of yesterday, we thought everybody would agree for sure when you have leftover chatas blood that mixes with ola blood, for sure you can apply it on the bottom of the mizbeach, because that's where the leftover chatas blood is going anyway. Comes along Rabbi Yosef and says, no, you don't understand. When we talk about the leftover chatas blood going on the bottom of the mizbeach, it doesn't mean that it goes on the walls of the mizbeach. It has to be brought directly onto the itztaba, the base of the mizbeach. Throwing it onto the walls of the mizbeach and letting it drip down. Crack the egg on your head, let it drip down. When you throw it on the walls of the mizbeach and you let it drip down, that's not accomplishing what you need to accomplish. The shirayim needs to be thrown directly onto the base. You thought, what? I might as well throw it onto the bottom part of the line, because anyway, the ola part will be yotzei with that, and the chatas part in there, which I need to throw the shirayim chatas, it'll eventually drip down and end up on the base. That's not good enough, says Rav Yosef. If you want to be yotzei the shirayim and throwing the shirayim, it needs to be thrown directly on the itzbah. And therefore, according to him, the Rabbanan would hold, if you say ein roa, the Rabbanan will hold that even when you have leftover chatas blood with ola blood, you still can't throw it underneath the line, because on one end the ola blood needs to go underneath the line, but above the itztaba, above the base, and the chatas, leftover chatas blood, doesn't just go beneath the line, it has to go directly on the itztaba, and if you throw it on the wall, you'll be throwing chatas blood on the wall, and if you throw it directly on the itztaba, you'll be throwing ola blood on the itztaba. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Shimon lo shana tchilas chatas ve'ola. It's home machlokes. Again, it was only by tchilas chatas ve'ola, but sof chatas ve'ola divrei kol makom ola makom shirayim, underneath the line. And Rabbi Yochanan v'yitem Rabbi Lazar, same as Rabbi Yosef, adayin hi machlokes. So that's again the next thing that we're adding to the picture, is that it's not so posh you can just throw it underneath the line, because the chatas blood, again, remembering wise, chatas blood doesn't just go beneath the line. Chatas blood goes, the leftover chatas blood goes directly on the itztaba, on the base of the altar. Says the Gemara, Masiv Rav Huna bar Yehuda. This idea that the shirayim needs to be directly on the itztaba, we're going to ask a kasha on now. Says the Gemara, Kodeshem, Shem nis'ariv b'dam kachem acherim yikru. By Bechor, it says that the blood of the Bechor is Kodesh, and if it mixes with any other dam, that's Kodesh, so you can still bring it. Rashi, Kodeshem, end of the line. Bebechor ksiv umashmalei heim b'havayasan hiyu shem nis'arvu b'dam acherim lo avdu et shema v'yikruvu. If you have dam bechor that mixes with other things, you can still bring it. U'l'rabbanan mitok makagon. So what's the case here, where you mix bechor blood with other blood and you can bring it? Well, according to the Rabbanan, it's not so pasha. Why should you be able to bring it? It's mixed with other blood. Says the Gemara, Mailav sof olo bechor ushmami na makom ola makom shraim. Are we not talking about the sof ola, which we're treating as the same as the sof chatas? Are we not talking about the shirayim of the ola slash chatas that mixes with bechor? And according to the Rabbanan, because again, if you have two things that mix with each other, so even the Rabbanan would agree that if two lower bloods mix with each other, you can apply it to the mizbeach, because even if both of them are there, it doesn't matter. They're both being applied at the right place. The Rabbanan are the ones who said that when you have upper blood, chatas blood, with lower blood, then you can't apply it anywhere, because then you're applying illegally the upper blood to the bottom and the bottom blood to the upper. But over here, they clearly say that kodeshem, the bechor blood, when it's mixed with something, can be applied to the bottom of the mizbeach. So what are we going to try to prove? We're going to try to always prove what we're trying to prove. So what are we going to try to prove? We're going to try to prove that what's the case? The case is when the bechor blood mixed with the shirayim, with the leftover chatas and ola blood, and it says yikruvu, you could bring it. What does that imply? That implies that according to everybody, Rabbanan, you can bring it on the mizbeach, on the bottom, underneath the red line, even though you're not bringing it directly on the itztaba. My lav, sof olo bechor v'shmamina makom ola makom shirayim lo. Tchilas olo bechor. No, what are we talking about? We're talking about tchilas olo bechor. We're talking about regular ola blood with bechor blood. And why you allowed to bring it on the bottom of the mizbeach under the line? Because they're both bottom mizbeach bloods. Says the Gemara, my kamashlan. So what are you telling me? That's pashut. If you have two bottom bloods mixed together, so what's the chiddush that you can bring it on the bottom? Everybody's going to agree to that. Says the Gemara, my kamashlan. What are you teaching me? De'ein olin mivatlin zeh. The chiddush is, of course, you can bring it on the bottom, but the chiddush is, you might have thought that if two bloods mix together in general, so the question becomes, if two bloods mix together, so we're talking about all these things, about throwing it on the mizbeach, on the top, on the bottom, neither, no, fine. But when two bloods mix together, why don't we say the din of rov? It's never going to be exactly 50-50. So if you have a lot of ola blood that mixes with a little bit of bechor blood, why don't we just say that your bechor blood is batel, and now when you apply it, you're applying ola blood, and fine, you can apply it, but you weren't yotzei the mitzvah of zrika by bechor. This whole discussion is assuming that when you have two bloods mixed together, it's just a question of if you have upper blood with lower blood, then maybe you can apply it. But if you have two lower bloods together or two upper bloods together, not really possible because it's chatas, but if you have two lower bloods together, so what do? You can apply it. We just assume by definition you can apply it. That's assuming the underlying assumption that the bloods are not mevatel each other. And even though it's 60-40, you have Ola blood with Bechor blood, and you applied, you're assuming that what? That you were Yotzei, quote unquote. When we say they were Yotzei, that you can apply it, we assume that you were Yotzei, and you were Yotzei the Ola, and you were Yotzei the Bechor. But how are you Yotzei the mitzvah? Why isn't the Ola blood that's 60-40 or 70-30 or 80-20, why is that not Mevata the Bechor blood? All of the blood should become Ola blood. Yes, of course you were Yotzei when you applied it, but you only Yotzei the Ola. You never did Zrika on the Bechor blood. Says the Gemara, we see from here, Kodesh Haim, it's Xeris HaKasov, that when bloods mix together, they're not Mevatel each other, and as long as they're both lower bloods or upper bloods or whatever, when you apply them to the Mizbeach, you can be Yotzei, and you were Yotzei both of the requirements that you had. Says the Gemara, it's a beautiful pshat. The problem is that it says by Yom Kippur that the Kohen Gadol takes the Dam Apar and the Dam Asar and he throws it on the Mizbeach. And we know that the Dam Apar was much bigger than the Dam Asar, so there was much more Dam from the Par than the Sar. And yet he mixed it together and he threw it on the Mizbeach and he was Yotzei the Dam Apar and the Dam Asar. He had an obligation to throw the Dam of the Par on the Mizbeach and the Dam Asar on the Mizbeach. But if he went ahead and he mixed them together and he applied them, and he was Yotzei both, what does that show clearly? That clearly shows that when you mix them together, you're not Mevatel the Dam Asar, which was less. You're Mevatel nothing, and therefore you have the Dam Apar and the Dam Asar, and you're good to go. So what do you need a pasuk of Kodesh Hashem to learn from Bechor that bloods are not Mevatel each other, that the more blood is not Mevatel the less blood? At the end of the day, you already know that from the pasuk by Yom Kippur. Says the Gemara, Tanai, you're right. For whatever reason, some people like learning it from that pasuk, and some people like learning it from that pasuk. But at the end of the day, bottom line is that two bloods, again, key concept, two bloods and what? Bottom line. Bottom line is that two bloods, you're sounding like people from my first year. Bottom line is that the two bloods are not mevatel each other. What's the source? Depends which one you like. You could either say from Kodesh Haim, from Bechor, or from Yom Kippur, Dam Apar and Dam Hasar.
Which both take another, they're both asmachtas.
They're both Xeros HaKasavs, no?
Well, you have two gears. Could have two.
Again, it depends. According to one, no, because it's Xeris HaKasav, and according to each one, you're going to learn the other pasuk for something else. You don't have to. I don't have yours, and you don't have mine. Masiv Rava, v'ikrivu b'nei Aaron es Adam v'zarku es Adam. Third possibility. We're actually going to use this one for two things. We're going to use this pasuk to teach us the same thing again. It's going to come out that they're not mevatel each other. Dam. What should it have said? This is talking about an ola. That the V'ikrivu b'nei Aaron es Adam v'zarku es Adam. It should have said the word Dam once. So we're going to see in a second that it's going to be the third possible way to learn that what? The extra Dam is going to teach us that the Dams are Dam no matter what and they're not mevatel each other. But for now, we're bringing this pasuk for something else. Masiv Rav, we're going to ask another question on this whole Shirayim thing. Ma tamid lomar Dam Dam. Why does it say Dam Dam? What do you need Dam Dam twice? Sheyachol ein li ela elu shenisarvu b'tmurasa she'af mechaim tikarev. What would you thought? You have Ola blood that mixes with the blood of its Tamura. What's the Tamura? Tamura, not a date. What's the Tamura? Tamura is a substitute. You take an Ola, and then for whatever reason, again, so we'll get to it. One of these Masechtas later on, if we survive this one. So, what? Chulin is next. So we're going to talk about Tamura later on in one of the Masechtas. So at the end of the day, though, if you substitute, Menachos is next. Yeah. You get a little bit of talis and tefillin and tzitzis. So, if you make it that far. And but in the meantime, you have Ola and you switch it for a Tamura. So Ola switches for Tamura. So now what happens if the blood of the Ola and the blood of the Tamura mix with each other, the one that was substituted for it? So you might think that when those two bloods mix together, so that's where the bloods are not going to be mevatel each other. Why? Because they're both similar. And what? She'af mechayim tikarev. Or if the two bloods or two different Ola bloods mixed together, my Ola and your Ola mixed together, or two of my Olas mixed together, you might think in that case, we don't say batel, even though one of them is obviously more than the other. Why don't we say batel? Because even when they're mechayim, when you have two Olas that are mixed together alive, we know that you can be makriv both of them. But maybe when Ola blood mixes with Asham blood or with other type of blood, it will be batel, the other type of blood. Says the Gemara, minayin l'rabas todo shlamim. How do you know that when Ola blood mixes with todo or shlamim blood, it's going to go ahead and not be mevatel it? Marbani todo shlamim boin benedur nedava kamosa, because Ola has something in common with Asham and Shlamim as well, Tod and Shlamim as well, that they're both brought from a neder. How do I know that if Ola blood mixes with Asham blood, it's also not mevatel it? Because it also has something in common with Asham. Marbani it's Asham sheton matan dalit kamoso. It needs 4 applications on the bottom part of the mizbeach. Bechoru meiseru pesach minayin. How do I know all these other things that have nothing in common with an Ola? It's not applied 4 times. and it's not mechaim tikarev, and it's not brought neder and nedava. How do I know that if they mix with ola, it's not going to be mevatel each other? Tam belomar dam dam. There you see that you have the dam dam. That's again the third source that if you have random things that mix with each other, then they're going to not be mevatel. But in the meantime, we have a kasha. My love sof ola bechor. When we're talking about bechor and ola blood mixing, so we just established that they're not going to be mevatel each other. But what else do you see? You also see that what? You can seemingly throw them. My love sof ola bechor shmamina makam ola makam shram. It seems to imply that when ola and bechor blood mix together, you can be makrivit. Where are you being makrivit? Underneath the line. You told me that the sof ola, i.e. the shirayim of the ola, the shirayim of the chatas need to be thrown directly on the itztaba. Lo tchilas ola bechor. No, it's the same thing. It's talking about ola blood with bechor blood, regular ola blood, not the leftovers, which definitely get thrown underneath the line. But if it was the leftovers, maybe one would say that you can't apply it because again, it needs to be thrown on the itztaba. But the leftovers the non-leftovers can definitely be thrown under the line because both bechor and regular ola blood need to be thrown underneath the line. Umay kamashlan. So then, what's dam dam teaching? To inolim mevatlin zed zed. Says Gemara, mivolakach midama par midama sar nafka, or it could have said mikodesh heim nafka. We already know that. Tnahi ikad nafka le mihacha veikad nafka le mihacha. So again, we have no proof as of now. Where are we holding? So we have no proof that you can throw blood that's the leftover chatas blood or leftover ola blood. There's no proof you can throw it underneath the line because it might have to be thrown directly on the itztaba. So again, there's a machlokas. It'd have to be thrown directly on the itztaba. It's definitely thrown beneath the line, the leftover blood of the chatas and ola. The question is, have to be thrown on the itztaba or not? If it has to be thrown on the itztaba, then even when you have leftover blood, then you can't throw it. Everybody agrees that when you have ola blood, two types of blood that go underneath the line and they're mixed together, you can throw it underneath the line, ola blood and bechor blood. There's a machlokas when you have leftover ola blood or leftover chatas blood with bechor blood. Can you throw it underneath the line or can you not because it has to be thrown directly on the itztaba? And now we've come with three sources, which we're going to discuss in just a second. Three sources that when two bloods are mixed together, which is the underlying premise of the whole thing, when you have two bloods that are mixed together, they're not mevatel each other. Why do you need three sources for? Because each one is not going to like the other source. Why not? Says in Gemara, v'hani t'nai. These three sources, kodesh heim, dam dam, v'latach midam apar, v'lakach midam apar midam asar, lo yalfi, kisavre ein ma'arvin lekarnos. This is fascinating. If you remember from Yuma, hopefully you remember, you chazard. So from Yuma, you remember that there's a machlokes. Not everybody holds that the two dams on Yom Kippur are mixed together. There's actually an opinion that says that they're separate. That the dam apar is put into one cup, the dam asar is put into the other cup. If they're never mixed together, so then it's not talking about batel. So how can you learn about them not being mevatel each other if they're not even in the same cup? So this man Omer who's not going to learn from there, you're right. If you learn, it sounds like, if you learn that the two bloods are put together, then you have a source that the bloods are not mevatel each other, because there's clearly more dam par than dam sar. But this man Omer is going to learn from a different source, from Kodesh Heim or from Dam Dam, is going to learn that by Yom Kippur, you didn't actually mix the bloods together. When the Kohen took the blood from the sar and the blood from the par, he had them in separate things. He applied them maybe similar at similar times, but he never mixed them together. Says the Gemara, Midam dam lo yalav dam dam lo mashmal, who according to them, this extra word dam is not really extra and it's just a small thing, you can't learn anything from it. Elami kodesh heim, my time aliyalfi. Why doesn't everybody agree that you can learn it from kodesh heim of Bechor? Heim kodesh, they're kodesh, even when they're mixed together. Kisavri kodesh heim, heim craven ve'in turas and crave. Because when it says kodesh heim, it's not teaching me that the bloods stay separate, that they don't battle each other. It's telling me that when a Bechor goes ahead, that the animal itself is brought in ein tmuras kreva, that if you substitute a bechor, it's not brought on the mizbeach. The tmur is not brought. That's what it means, kodesh heim. Not kodesh heim that the bloods remain kodesh when they're mixed. Kodesh heim, only that animal, the bechor, is kodesh, and not the tmura that you substitute for it. V'idach, the one who says otherwise, where's he going to learn it from? The one who's using kodesh heim to tell me that bloods are not mevatel each other, where's he going to learn that you can only bring the bechor and not the tmura? Nafgalemi im shor im sel Hashem hu krav ve'ein tmuraso krav. Fine. Zak the Gemara, just as a disclaimer, I understand the next part partly. I don't understand it 100%, but I will do my best to explain as much as possible, but it's good to be transparent. Says the Gemara, Tashma. I can just talk quickly and pretend I understand it, but I understand. I looked at the Rashis, I had a little bit of trouble, but again, I'll do my best. Tashma. Not on lemalav lo nimlach elu ve'elu modim sheyachzor v'yitain lamata elu ve'elu olin lo. So again, we said that if you have chatas and ola blood that's mixed together, so we said that lichatchila you shouldn't go ahead and throw it according to the rabbis because you can't put upper blood on the bottom, lower blood on the top. Rabbi Zev says you can throw it lichatchila because again you look at rowan, you look at the blood that's not supposed to be where it's supposed to be as mayim. But it says if you throw it, everybody agrees that you can throw it on the bottom. Why? Because again, that's leftover blood, and either way, the leftover blood goes on the bottom, and the ola blood goes on the bottom. My love, diurev chatas for ola v'chevan diurev le'lamala havule shirayim uktanu eleve lemodim shiach svitin lamata ushmamina makam ola makab shirayim. Same exact proof that we brought. You have leftover blood, and everybody agrees that it goes underneath. Says the Gemara, ki aser Rav Yitzchak bar Yosef Amar. You're right, that would be a proof, but we're not dealing with ola blood and leftover chatas blood. What are we dealing with? You were trying to prove that the makam of the ola blood, which is underneath the line, is the same as the leftover chatas shirayim, and you can throw both of them in the same spot. But he says that we're dealing with a different case. What's the different case? We're dealing with a case of two chatases that are mixed together. The blood of the chatas with the blood of the shirayim chatas. And as Rashi explains, the blood of the outer chatas with the blood of the inner chatas shirayim. Why bring me such a complicated case of the blood of the outer chatas with the shirayim of the inner chatas? Why don't you just tell me the blood of the outer chatas with the shirayim of the outer chatas? Why don't you give that example? It would be preferable to give an example of outer chatas with outer chatas shirayim. And the reason it would be preferable, again, this is the klal that you should remember, is because some of them disagree and say that the inner shirayim are not poured. Everybody agrees that the outer chatas, again, chatas is poured on the outer mizbeach on the top. Everybody agrees that the chatas is, when we say outer chatas, there are certain chatas that are brought outside, on the outside ola, on the outside mizbeach. Everybody agrees that the outer chatas is applied on the top of the line. The leftover outer chatas is applied underneath the line, on the itztaba. The question is, what do you do with the leftover of the inner shirayim? Do you throw it inside, or do you throw it outside? That's the klal that, again, you have to just realize that there is an argument there that the inner shirayim is not poured in the same place on the outer mizbeach. And then again, another machlokes is that if the inner shirayim are not poured, so let's say one machlokes is whether the inner shirayim have to be poured on the outside mizbeach or elsewhere. Another machlokes is what happens if you don't pour the inner shirayim at all? What happens if you don't pour the shirayim at all? You don't pour the leftover chatas. So you would say, what's the big deal? There's an opinion that holds if you don't pour it, then it's going to be pasul. Now when it says it's pasul, that's only if you don't pour it. Chisru ein ma'akvin. But if you didn't do it yet, that means if you're missing some of it, but there's some left, then again, it's not ma'akiv. Amalei Rava Tosfa Ravina how Kimna Hi Berubel Yoniv Kayoiv Lamala Shir Tachtonim out. What are you getting to this whole discussion? So again, we assume that we want to bring a proof that the place of the ola and the place of the leftover chatas are the same, and we said you can't prove it because we're dealing with another case of two chatases. Says Gemara, why are you complicating it even more than that? Why don't we say what we said yesterday? How did we explain this case yesterday? We explained yesterday that the case was that you had 15 kezesim of chatas and 5 kezesim of ola. And what did we say yesterday? We said that everybody would agree, even if you say, like Rav Ashi, that ein bila, if you have 5 kezesim of ola, which goes underneath the line, and 15 kezesim of chatas, which goes above the line, what do? We said that you could throw 6 kezesim of the mixture above the line. You have mixed together 15 kezesim of chatas and 5 kezesim of ola. We said yesterday that everybody would agree that what do? You can take the mixture of 20, take 6 of those kezesim and throw them above the line. Because even if you used up all 5 of the olas above the line, what? You still had 1 extra kezais, which was definitely chatas. If you're taking 6 of the mixture and there's only 5 olas in there, then for sure you have at least 1 kezais of chatas there. So you throw it above the line, you don't have a problem. Now you have 14 left. What do you do with the 14? You throw it underneath. Because either it's all chatas shirayim left, which goes underneath the line anyway, or it's chatas shirayim partly with ola, partly, which is probably what it is. Chances are you didn't take all 6 of the ola out. But either way, if you have it's either totally chatas shirayim, which goes underneath the line, or it's some leftover chatas, because you already applied some chatas above the line, with ola blood. And what do you do with that? Chatas shirayim with ola blood, you throw underneath the line, because both of them go underneath the line. Why didn't you explain it like that? Says the Gemara, Amrlei hani mili lemanda amrei meikara ein bila. Because that only works, or that's only necessary if you say ein bila. That whole svara was a chiddush. And that whole chiddush was only according to Rav Ashi, who says that what? That there's no mixture between the two. And how do you make sure that everything will be kosher according to Rabbi Eliezer? Because again, you have to work within Rabbi Eliezer, who says that you can apply the blood, and within Rav Ashi, who says that you don't mix the bloods, How is it possible to apply the blood without mixing the bloods? If you don't hold that you mix the bloods, how can I apply any blood above the thing without knowing what it is? Because at the end of the day, I'm going to apply it, and even if you look at it, row that it's mayim, but you have no idea. You might have thrown only Ola blood on top. Says the Gemara, that's where we came up with that big chiddush. And if you take enough of the blood, a rove, where for sure some of it is chatas blood, then you're safe. But that was only a chiddush. You didn't have to do that. Now that we're dealing like we started with, now we're dealing with kosas, where you have actually separate cups. You're not dealing with blood that's mixed together. You don't have to come on to this whole chiddush. Zok the Mishnah. Hanitanin bifnim. Again, there are certain bloods that are put on the inside of the Kodesh, and there are certain bloods that are put outside on the outside Mizbeach. So let's say you mix bloods, or they come to mix bloods that are supposed to be put inside with bloods that are supposed to be put outside. What do you do? Well, what do you mean, what do you do? I don't know, let's see. Yishbechu la'ama. Everybody agrees that you spill it out. And we're going to ask, according to Rabbi Eliezer, what do you mean? Why do you have to spill it out? Why don't you throw it inside, and then throw it outside, or vice versa? And you look at whichever one is not supposed to be inside, when you throw it inside, whatever is supposed to be outside, you look at it as mayim. Whatever is supposed to be inside, when you throw it outside, is going to be mayim. What's the problem? Why does he not agree? It seems like Rabbi Eliezer agrees that when it comes to throwing it not on top and on the bottom, where he says you can imagine whatever is not doesn't belong is mayim, he doesn't say that over here when you're having inside and outside. So why not? We'll see in a second. But again, everybody agrees that if you have bloods that are mixed together, some supposed to be thrown on the inner mizbeach and some supposed to be thrown on the outer mizbeach, you need to spill it all out. So it's obviously much more machmir than when you have bloods that are mixed together that are supposed to be thrown both on the outer mizbeach but on the top and on the bottom. Natan b'chutz v'chaz v'natan b'lefnim. Now you're supposed to spill it out. Let's say you don't spill it out. So now it's going to matter which one you did first. If you go and you apply it on the outside and then you apply it on the inside, it's going to be kosher. Why is it going to be kosher? Because seemingly we're going to say that everything's mixing together and there's a piece of each in each. Therefore, when I threw it on the inside, so I got part of the inside, even though there was part of the outside on there, I got part of the inside. When I threw it on the outside, I got part of the outside on there, and I'm good to go. Again, I shouldn't have done that lechatchila because I'm putting aser blood on the wrong mizbeach. But after I do it, I was yotze. But that's only if I put the blood on the outside one first. Bifnim v'chazer v'natan b'chutz. But if I go ahead and I put it on the inside first, this mixture, and then the outside, Rabbi Akiva says posel. You were yotze the inside one, no problem, because again, it's all mixed together. So you shouldn't have done it, but you were yotze the inside one. But Rabbi Akiva says you're not yotze the outer blood. And whatever you were bringing that had to be put on the outer mizbeach, you got to bring another one. No, you're yotze even the outer one. Rabbi Akiva Omer, why are you not yotze the outer one? Again, you have this mixture of outer blood and inner blood. If you throw it on the inside first, if you throw it on the outside first and then on the inside, everybody says you're yotze both the outside and the inside. Why should it make a difference if you throw it on the inside and then the outside? Rabbi Akiva Omer, kol damim shenichnesu lechaper behechal psulin. Because he holds that once you throw the blood on the inside, now it's too holy, you can never use it outside. Chachamim seem to argue on that. The Chachamim obim chatas bilvad. They say, Rabbi Akiva, nice try, but the basis of your halacha, yes, this is a mefurish pasuk. The pasuk, as Rashi quotes on the bottom, second to last line, says, V'chol chatas asher yuva. The pasuk clearly says that by chatas, nobody can argue. There's a mefurish pasuk by chatas, that once you throw the blood on the inside, you can no longer throw it on the outside.
The blood that you still have in your hands?
The blood that you have on your hands. Once you throw it on the inside, that blood can no longer be thrown on the outside. That's what the pasuk says by chatas. So everybody agrees that by chatas, if you have a mixture, and there's a chatas in there, and you throw it on the inside, you can no longer throw it on the outside. Everybody agrees that if part of the mixture is a chatas pnimi, there's nothing to talk about. The question is, though, what about all the other korbanos? So Rabbi Akiva says we're going to extend that to all the other korbanos. Once you throw it on the inside, just like by a chatas, you ruin it. If you throw it by the inside, you ruin all the other stuff. You can never throw it on the outside. Says a chachamim, that's only by a chatas. And comes along Rabbi Eliezer, Omer afa asham shenamar kechatas kasham. There's a gzeres hakasa that compares chatas to asham. So again, the machlok is everybody agrees that by a chatas, if you throw it, you have blood of a chatas that's mixed with other blood, and the blood has to be thrown on the inside. If you throw it on the inside, it can no longer be thrown on the outside. Everybody agrees to that. Rabbi Eliezer comes and adds, not only is it by a chatas, by an asham as well. If part of the mixture is an asham and you throw it on the inside, it can no longer be thrown on the outside, because chachatzas chasham. Says a chachamim, that's only by chatas. Rabbi Eliezer says it's by chatas and asham. Says Rabbi Akiva, even though it's not first in the pasuk, it's by everything. And any korban that you throw the blood inside, once you throw it inside, you apostle it for outside. But vice versa, everybody agrees. If you throw the blood of any combination outside, even though you shouldn't have, then you throw it inside, you're a yotze both. Says Gemara, v'niflog nami Rabbi Eliezer baha. So why doesn't Rabbi Eliezer argue by this one? Again, why is it that if you have blood from outside mixed with blood from inside, why doesn't he say what? That you can throw it. Okay, I understand you can't throw it inside and then outside, but why doesn't he throw, you could say it, or if it's not a chatas maybe, but why doesn't he say you throw it outside and then throw it inside? We say l'chadchila, everybody agrees you don't throw it outside and then inside. You don't throw it at all. Why not? Why don't we say you throw it outside, whatever was supposed to be inside, you look at kamisha eno, like it's mayim, and then throw it inside. What's the problem? It says logistically we have a problem, because hechinavid, what do you want him to do? The guy has a mixture of blood here, of inner blood and outer blood. What do you want him to do? So what do you mean, what do? You throw the outside one first and then throw the inside one in Shalom al Yisrael. I can't do that. Nisiv b'chutz v'hadar nisiv lifnim, kishem shemitzvah la'aktim al yonim l'tachtonim, kach mitzvah la'aktim panim b'chutz. The outer one is not as holy as the inner one. So I want to throw the inner one first. I want to throw the outer one first. But I can't because I need to throw the inner one first. Shkoyach, so go throw the inner one first. But I can't. Because at the very least, what? If there's a chatas part of it, then it ruins it. So I'm going to make a gzeira that across the board, I'm not going to be able to throw the inner one first, because if I do, then I might get confused, and in the case that there's a chatas, or according to Rabbi Zev, in the case that there's a chatas or an asham, or according to the Rabbanan, in the case that there's anything, you're going to end up being stuck, and then you're going to throw it outside, and you're going to think you're yotzei, and you're not. Again, chatas according to the Rabbanan. Chatas and asham according to Rabbi Eliezer. And everything according to the other opinion. Since you can't go ahead, once you would go inside, it would be ruining the one on outside. So therefore, lo psikale, I'm not going to make a psak across the board. And therefore, you're right. In svara, Rabbi Eliezer would say the same thing that he says when upper blood mixes with lower blood. I'm out of the picture. When upper blood mixes with lower blood, he would say that lechatchila, it's okay to mix it, it's okay to apply it. You apply the upper one first and then the lower one again, because there it's not a problem. It's not that you apply upper blood now you ruin it. So you apply the upper blood, then you apply the lower blood. When you apply the upper blood, the lower blood that's mixed in is water. When you apply the lower blood, the upper blood that's mixed in is water. He should say the same thing when you have inner blood and outer blood. Says the Gemara, he can't say that because he's stuck. Even though in svara he agrees that you could ignore the other one, you can't, because at the end of the day, which is interesting, because you think you just ignore it totally, but obviously you can't go that far. At the end of the day, he's stuck. If he throws it outside and then inside, he can't do that because the inside blood is holier. He needs to throw it inside first. And if you throw it inside, then he'd be stuck. And according to different opinions, he would be stuck depending on what the korban is. He couldn't throw it outside. Therefore, gzeira across the board, that when you have blood from outside and blood from inside mixed together, lechatchila, you don't throw it. B'diavad, if you threw it, so then as long as lechatchila, you should have thrown it what? Again, you couldn't have thrown it. The inside first is definitely going to ruin it. But if you threw it outside first, so then, since you shouldn't have done it, but if you throw it outside, it was only a should have thrown it inside first because it's holier. But if you throw it outside first, okay, you were over that should have, but you were yotzei the outside. Now you go ahead and you throw it inside, and you're good for all the korbanos. Shkoyach, everyone.